Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zahava and I used to make videos about running a small business from my house, but have since switched over to talking about books and being on BookTube and having a brand new YouTube identity. So I am so happy that you guys have come to hang out with me today. We're going to be doing a little bit of a different video than you guys are used to. I thought that I would talk to you guys today about some book series, and basically it's going to be book series that I have abandoned. And I thought that that would make for like an interesting video because I know that I didn't iron this, so it's going to flap up in like the wrong way. So hopefully that's not going to trigger too many of you, but I can't get it to go flat down. But anyway, I know that a lot of people in the new year, they make a New Year's resolution and they say that they're going to finish XYZ book series, and I have not really seen any videos. And if you know of any and you want me to go check those out, let me know in the comments down below. I have not seen any videos people are making about series that they are abandoning, and I just want to talk to you about ones that I have abandoned actually in the past and let you know why that happened. So there's no real particular order to this video. I just kind of have a list and I'm going to read to you from the list, and I will put up pictures of either the first book of the series, or if I can find a series picture, I'll put it there. But I will let you guys know what they are, and we can just jump right into it. So the first series on this list that I have abandoned, and this would be, I should actually give you the caveat of saying that these are not DNFs, okay? These are books that I will have read the first, maybe even the second, sometimes all the way up to the fifth book in the series. And then I just, lost it. Like no interest, can't follow, or the authors took too long to publish or anything like that. So, just know that any books that make this list, none of them were DNFs that made me decide to not continue with the series. These were books that had been completed and that then I decided not to continue with the series. So I hope that that's clear. All right, so again, let's start. Okay, so my first one that I'm going to put up there is Outlander. Okay, so here's the thing. I know that it's a really popular book series, really popular TV show and stuff, but I just couldn't stick with it. I couldn't stick with it. I think that the major issue for me, and it's going to sound horrible, okay? It's going to sound really bad, but I didn't like that Claire, is that her name? I think it's Claire. Yeah, it's Claire. I didn't like that she was older than Jamie. Like that, for some reason, bothered me. And I didn't find the story very relatable, I guess. And that was like the big thing that was niggling at me. So while I did finish Outlander, the first book, and I think I DNF'd like 100 pages into the second one. But we're talking many, many years ago, like 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I would have read this book and I would have finished the first one, but then abandoned the second one and just decided to not continue with the series at all. So that one lost me chiefly because I guess it was such a long time ago, but the story probably was not that interesting. And also it kind of bugged me that Claire was older than Jamie. So there you have it. I didn't like that. I don't know if you guys are like that too, if you find little things like that just really get on your nerves, but for me, it really got on my nerves, so it didn't work for me, okay? So that was Outlander. The next series that I decided to give up on is The Wicked Years by Gregory Maguire, and that would comprise Wicked, Son of a Witch, it would be A Lion Among Men, and Out of Oz, and I think that after Son of a Witch, that's when the author lost me. Maybe, I think I have a slight memory of having started A Lion Among Men, but I'm pretty sure that I didn't continue with the series because I just got bored of it, and I don't know, there were other things I wanted to read at the time. So again, Outlander and Wicked, both things that are very current and that have book to screen adaptations, but I'm not even watching those book to screen adaptations because I was so annoyed. I just remember being like really bored of the series. So why would I watch the book to screen adaptations when like I don't care, So those were series that I just lost interest in, and I don't think it really makes sense to watch the screen adaptation. Maybe I will one day, but anyway. Number 3 is A Song of Ice and Fire, as you all know, by George R.R. Martin. And that one, I want to say I stopped after book 5. Just because the other editions don't seem to be coming, right? So, and also when I was reading A Song of Ice and Fire, it was way before there was talk of Game of Thrones becoming a screen adaptation. So I had been pretty much current while that show was current. So for me, I don't know. I know that we're not going to get into whether or not Game of Thrones, the screen adaptation, ended in a way that was satisfying. I personally found it satisfying. So I don't know. For me, I consider in my brain that story closed, and I don't need to read any more books. And if you're wondering if I'm watching House of the Dragon, I am not. I am not. I have no interest in that storyline or knowing anything that is happening in that realm anymore. So yeah. So number 3 is going to be A Song of Ice and Fire. Number 4, the Robert Langdon series. This is by Dan Brown, which is the author of the Da Vinci Code. And I believe that I read Da Vinci Code, I read Angels and Demons. I know I read a little more Dan Brown. I read Deception Point, but I don't think I read The Lost Symbols. So I read Angels and Demons, and I think I even read that after having read Da Vinci Code. So that was a series also that kind of had its 15 minutes with me, and I didn't need any more than 15 minutes. It's kind of like how I felt when I went to Brussels. You don't need more than 6 hours in that city, and I didn't need more than 6 hours with Dan Brown. Series number 5 that I abandoned is the Symphony of Ages series by Elizabeth Hayden. Now, you guys need to understand that I got to about book 5 or book 6, which I think is The Assassin King. I'm going to double check. Yeah, it was The Assassin King. I just checked on Goodreads and that's what it was. Yeah, so I read all 6 of the first books of that series. And then I don't know what happened, but she stopped writing, or there were no more books to be found. And I guess I just found other authors. I think I went on a journey of reading Elizabeth Hayden and then going over to Sarah Douglas, which kept me busy for a while. And I don't know. That was like way back in my early 20s, like pre-children, you know. So these authors have been around for quite some time, but I really enjoyed reading that. And for me, those girls were writing the original romantasy. I know that romantasy is like a newly emerged genre here, but these girls were writing the original romantasy. Like if you read Rhapsody or anything else in the Symphony of Ages, there is a really moving love story that comes in that series. I don't think I mentioned Sarah Douglas no, I'm looking at my notes. No, I don't mention Sarah Douglas in this list because she wrote mostly trilogies, and I believe that I've read everything. Not that I have any recollection of the stories or what it is that I read, aside from a couple of stray memories here and there. But I know that whenever I was reading Sarah Douglas, I read pretty much everything that she had published, which came to about like 20 books or so. Anyway, so Elizabeth Hayden had completely stopped writing. I couldn't get any more of her books. And now I see that books 7, 8, and 9 are out from the Symphony of Ages series. And I don't know, that plot line for me was so long ago that there's no way I could possibly pick it up now without rereading the entire series. And there are too many books for me to read. There's too little time. There's other series that I want to start. So I think I'm just going to let that one go. And I'm going to end that one with The Assassin King, and books 7, 8, and 9 will be for somebody else to enjoy. So let's get back to what we're here to talk about, which is number 6 on my list of series that I have abandoned after having read one or more of the books in that series completely. And the next one on the list is going to be Oathborn by Morgan Rice. Now that one I vlogged about not too long ago, and I didn't really have much to say about it for the reason that I'm going to reiterate now. It was really forgettable. I read book number 1, and there are 8 out there, and it was not a long book. It was like a really thin book. I read it on Kindle while I was sitting on the airplane, something like 200 pages. It went by super quickly. There are 8 of them out there. They have very good reviews, but for me, it was a very forgettable storyline, and I was kind of getting Why Choose vibes, but I don't know if I necessarily resonate with that in terms of romantasy as a genre. I don't know, just for me, it was like really not doing it. It wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't especially powerful writing. It just did what I needed it to do. It kept me busy on an airplane. I finished the book. I mean, it wasn't like horrible that I had to DNF it, but I just won't be continuing in the series because it just didn't interest me. Number 7, the Roots of Chaos series by Samantha Shannon. Now, if you guys have been here a minute, you have probably seen my vlog where I talked about the Priory of the Orange Tree. Now, at the beginning, when I started reading that book, and let me just tell you that it's a chonker, it's like big like this. And I read it. I didn't DNF it. I read the whole book start to finish, and it was such a letdown. It was such a letdown for me. I know that there is a prequel to the book who I don't remember what the name is, but I'll put the picture up on the screen. It's only a duology, so it's not a series such as a series normally is in a trilogy, but it is a series nonetheless. And the second book that was written after Priory of the Orange Tree is actually a prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, but in any case, I will not be reading it because I had some issues with Priory of the Orange Tree. I felt that, and I should preface this by saying that I'm kind of a functionalist. I do like when every character has a reason for being there, and I could not for the life of me understand why the character in Priory of the Orange Tree of Nicholas Roos, the doctor, I didn't understand what the heck his purpose was in that book. Like it just... I don't know. They were not selling me on the importance of this guy. So I don't know. Like I had some issues with Priory of the Orange Tree, mostly because a lot of people were saying how much they really liked it. And I heard it talked about a lot. And all of my favorite fantasy booktubers all have Priory of the Orange Tree in their gorgeous bookshelves, which I don't have bookshelves. I have fabric, but that's fine. One day I will have bookshelves, but it's not today. But all of that is to say that Priory of the Orange Tree for me was a super letdown because in the end, I just didn't feel that the stakes were high enough. I wanted more dragons. It really wasn't about the dragons so much as it was about found family and like a love relationship. And, you know, I don't know. I just, I was not happy with that one. So I will not be continuing with that series. This next one, number 9, is a bit of an older one. It is The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. And why I'm laughing is because it's so old. I think that those books came out, I don't know if it was the 90s, maybe it was the 80s. I'm going to look it up. Okay, you guys, not even. It was 1976 that Interview with the Vampire was published. So it's an older series, you guys. And I think... I'm just looking at the list right now on Goodreads. Hang on. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I stopped this series at book number 5 with Memnoch the Devil. And I'm not even sure that I finished that book. And I read it so long ago that I couldn't even tell you, besides Interview with the Vampire, whatever happened. I just know that there's like, it's not, I don't think it's a spoiler. I just know that Lestat is her coup de coeur. What does that mean? What does that mean for people that don't speak French? Coup de coeur? Lestat is her baby. Lestat is her... Interview with the Vampire starts out with Louis, and Louis is our main male character. And everybody thinks that, you know, the series, I mean, and if you guys didn't know, the rest of the series kind of takes off with Lestat. So Louis is very much left behind in Interview with the Vampire, and people like Lestat, Armand, these are people that come back in the subsequent books. And I know that there was a movie made, Queen of the Damned, I think, was also made into a movie, which I never saw, but it just never made it onto my radar. I don't have anything in particular against the book. It just didn't make it onto my radar. But I read pretty much everything, including Memnoch the Devil, and then there were some other books that Anne Rice added to the series after that, which apparently go up to book 13. So I'm not going to list them all out here. If you guys want to check those out, you can just go look up Anne Rice or Interview with the Vampire, Vampire Chronicles on Goodreads or anywhere else that you might want to look for them. And you can find all those books. But pretty much for me, after book 5, I had enough in that world and I was just done. All right. The last book on this list of series that I have abandoned and will not be returning to is The Book of Night by Holly Black. And that one is also a duology. The Thief of Night is actually not going to be published until later this year. But that being said, I'm not going to be continuing with Book of Night. I did finish it, but the prose was extremely chaotic for me. So I didn't really love the writing style of that book, and I remember just vlogging about it a few weeks ago or a few days ago, let's say a few vlogs ago, and I don't know, I wasn't the only one. Like, I went to look at the Goodreads comments from other readers, and I wasn't the only one to have difficulty with the prose in that book. Like, there was almost some ideas that were missing, and I had to do some leaping from one concept to the other, and it was just very taxing on me in terms of the reading of it. I liked the idea of the shadow magic. It worked for me. People being able to separate from their shadows, but it was just the way that it was written that became kind of, I don't know, stark, and just, it didn't really flow nicely, if that makes sense. The writing was missing a comfy flow, and I just couldn't jive with it. So I'm not going to be continuing with that series either. And I am a little bit scared because I have a copy of The Cruel Prince, which I know is also written by Holly Black, which I haven't gotten to yet, but I had intended to. And I just hope that it's not going to be reading the same way as Book of Night, because I wanted to like Book of Night so much more than I did, but it was just really giving me 3-star vibes. And that was 110% due to the fact that the text was sometimes very abrasive. And I just didn't like that. It just did not read easy. So at least not for me. So if you like that book, good, great for you. But I could not. I mean, I finished it. I liked it enough, but it's not a series that I'm going to be continuing with. So now we have come to the end of the video, and it is generally the point at which I ask you guys to participate in this video, in this conversation that we're having about books, and let me know which book series you guys have abandoned, and let me know your reasons why, and how far you got to in the series before you decided whatever you decided, or before you decided to abandon them. And yeah, I just love to interact with you guys in the comments. If you leave a comment, chances are I will respond to you. Please remember to like this video if you like this kind of content, and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, this is Zahava saying ciao for now.